Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started.
The road to WWE WrestleMania 41 hasn't been smooth sailing for Roman Reigns. Rikishi has now called out the tribal chief and urged him to remember who he really is in pro wrestling. The saga involving Roman Reigns has reached a phase where he might be left without his wiseman, Paul Heyman. The OTC's manager will come out with CM Punk at WrestleMania, and after the latest Raw episode, he also owes a favor to Seth Rollins. A Heyman betrayal seems inevitable, leaving Roman Reigns in a precarious state before another WrestleMania main event for the former undisputed champion. Rikishi commented on Reigns' current status on the Off the Top podcast and began by directly addressing a message to the WWE superstar. He reminded Roman that he was the god of pro wrestling and was the sole reason why many talents in the back were making more money, including CM Punk and Paul Heyman. Here's the WWE Hall of Famer's seemingly inspiring call-out directed at Roman. "We're going to call out the tribal chief right now. Tribal chief, we already know what you're going to do. The tribal chief doesn't listen to anybody. He doesn't have to answer to anybody. The tribal chief is the god of professional wrestling. He is the reason why every single person out there in that locker room is making the bag. That includes CM Punk, including Paul Heyman." From 9:40 onwards. Rikishi acknowledges CM Punk as an icon but still considers Roman Reigns a more impactful star. Since his return to WWE, CM Punk has been a prominent aspect of the TV product, consistently being featured in top angles. Rikishi has watched CM Punk perform for years and realized that the Second City Saint was someone who'd done it all in the pro wrestling business. However, Rikishi couldn't ignore Roman Reigns' numbers, which he felt were far superior to Punk's. The WWE legend considered Roman's influence in recent years and felt Reigns was still a step above the rest on the roster. CM Punk, OG, the man who did it all out there in the independents, finally came back, and now he is claiming his right to be the best in the world. Icon, superstar. I don't know. If we see the numbers, going back from Roman Reigns to CM Punk, we can't even just understand the numbers, which are so far off because of what? The one man. Roman, from 12:30 onwards. Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins will headline Night 1 of WrestleMania 41, and a majority of the focus will be on who Paul Heyman favors. The island breeze felt different that day. Heavy, as if the air itself carried the weight of unfinished business. Underneath the swaying palm trees of Hawaii territory, a storm was brewing, one that would shake the very foundation of the bloodline. In a surprise appearance on SmackDown, the lights dimmed and the unmistakable sound of "Uso" echoed through the arena, but it wasn't the Usos. The crowd erupted as WWE Hall of Famer Rikishi stepped onto the stage, draped in his signature black and white gear, the shades gleaming under the bright lights. "Yo," Rikishi began, pacing slowly to the ring, microphone in hand, the crowd buzzing in anticipation. "Tonight ain't about dancing. Tonight ain't about nostalgia. Tonight is about family, and family gone wrong." His music faded out, but the electricity in the arena did not. He climbed into the ring, pausing for a beat as he scanned the crowd, then fixed his eyes dead into the hard camera. "I wasn't gonna do this," Rikishi said, his voice heavy with emotion. "I wasn't gonna come out here and air out our dirty laundry in front of the world. But Roman Reigns, you left me no choice." The crowd roared at the mere mention of the tribal chief's name. Rikishi pulled off his shades, revealing eyes burning with equal parts disappointment and fury. "You sit up there on your throne, calling yourself the head of the table," Rikishi continued, his Samoan cadence growing stronger. "But the truth is, you flipped the table over a long time ago." Cheers erupted as Rikishi kept going, his words gaining momentum like a freight train. "You forgot what this family stands for, Roman. The honor, the respect. You think it's about power? About keeping the titles at any cost? You bullied your own cousins, tore this family apart from the inside out, and for what? So you could hold that championship over your head while your blood suffers under your rule?" The camera cut to the crowd, faces in awe, signs waving, "Acknowledge Rikishi. The real head of the table." Rikishi's face hardened, the years of experience, of pain, of pride etched into every line. "You sent Jay down a dark path. You pushed Jimmy until he couldn't take it no more. And Solo. Oh man, Solo is lost because of you." A murmur went through the arena at the mention of Solo Sikoa. Rikishi's youngest son, the silent enforcer, caught in the whirlwind of Roman's ambition. "You used my boy, Roman, Rikishi said, his voice trembling for the first time. "You used him as your weapon, as your shield. But that ends tonight." The crowd rose to their feet as the unmistakable theme music of Roman Reigns hit. The tribal chief emerged, flanked by Paul Heyman, who looked like he'd seen a ghost. Roman wore his usual cold expression, championship draped over his shoulder, the air of supremacy still clinging to him like armor. He walked slowly to the ring, methodical, calculating. Once inside, he raised the mic to his lips, letting the boos rain down. "Rikishi," Roman began, smirking, "with all due respect, old man, you had your time. You were never the head of the table. You were never me." The arrogance in his tone ignited the fire in Rikishi's chest. "You right," Rikishi shot back. "I ain't you. And thank the ancestors for that. 'Cause if I was, I'd be ashamed to look my family in the eye." Roman's smirk faltered. "You think you're leading this family?" Rikishi challenged, stepping closer, nose to nose with the so-called tribal chief. "You leading us straight to destruction." Roman's eyes narrowed. "You don't understand what it takes. What it costs to sit at the top. You never did." Rikishi shook his head. "No, Roman. I do understand. I understand more than you ever will. I paid my dues, I carried this family's name across the world, long before you ever held that title. And I did it with pride, with respect." The tension in the ring was unbearable. The crowd chanted, "Rikishi! Rikishi!" "And let me tell you this," Rikishi continued, his voice now booming, echoing off the arena walls. "You ain't the only one with claims to the table. You ain't the only one who can call upon the bloodline." Roman's brow furrowed. He sensed the threat but said nothing. "I got sons. You remember that, huh? Jay. Jimmy. Solo. And they ain't done yet," Rikishi declared. "You turned brother against brother, cousin against cousin. But you forgot, Roman. Bloodline runs deep. Deeper than your ego." With that, Rikishi dropped the mic, his statement loud and clear. Roman looked rattled for the first time in months. Paul Heyman whispered frantically in his ear, but Roman's gaze never left Rikishi's. Without warning, Roman lifted his title high, as if to reassert his dominance. But the crowd's reaction was different this time. It wasn't respect. It wasn't fear. It was rebellion. The seeds had been planted. Rikishi had called out the false king. And now, the cracks in Roman's empire were spreading. As Rikishi left the ring, he turned one final time, pointing at Roman. "You better watch your back, tribal chief," Rikishi warned. "Because this family? We comin' for you." The arena exploded in cheers as Rikishi walked up the ramp, pausing at the top to throw up the legendary two cool hand sign, a nod to his past and a promise for the future. Roman remained in the ring, seething beneath his stoic facade, clutching his championship tighter. For the first time in a long time, the head of the table looked vulnerable. And somewhere deep in the shadows of the Anoa'i dynasty, the bloodline was beginning to stir. The war wasn't over. It had just begun.